Welcome back. We are here with the energy support report for May 2020. It's your girl Chantel, and I'm here to talk all about the energy that we can expect for the month of May, as well as support tools that we can use to help us work through the lessons and the blessings that are coming to us this month. As always, we're gonna start this off with our major astrological transits, the ones that we should be keeping an eye out for, paying attention to, so that we understand when the energy shows up in our life on these specific days and times, why they're here and what they're here to help teach us so that we can learn from them. Okay, kicking things off this month, we are going to begin on May 4th when Venus in Gemini squares up to Neptune in Pisces. When Venus squares Neptune, it can present somewhat of a challenging energy. There's a possibility for disillusionment or shattering of illusions when it comes to matters of love. This transit really is setting the tone for what we can expect coming in the Venus retrograde happening later on this month. We're currently in the shadow period of the retrograde. Please remember that the shadow period lasts 2 weeks prior and 2 weeks after every retrograde transit. And so we're currently in the pre-shadow of the Venus retrograde. So this transit of Venus squaring Neptune really is more of a challenging aspect, and with that, expect challenging information to come out with regards to our idealism in relationships. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I do feel like this is setting the tone for truths to come out. Whether you have been in a relationship where you're lying to yourself, you're telling yourself things are great, but really they're not. This is when the light gets shined on that. It's also going to be a time for truth to come out regarding infidelities. So if you're in a relationship that isn't one that's completely faithful, don't be surprised if this information makes its way to the center at this time. But always remember that every opportunity, even if it doesn't feel like it, is a gift, okay? It is a gift. So even if we get things that we didn't ask for, we didn't want, I didn't want to know this, I didn't ask for this, it still is being presented to us for our highest best so that we can move through and move on and grow. Also on the 4th, the Sun will conjunct Mercury in Taurus. So this is a great aspect to go hand in hand with Venus squaring Neptune, because the Sun conjuncting Mercury in Taurus really puts a lot of grounding and energizing energy behind our communication. So making sure that we are strong, we are firm, we are confident in what we're saying, how we're saying it, how we want to get it across, how we want to be perceived, and how we are perceiving things regarding our relationship. So Venus squaring Neptune is giving the space for illusions to shatter, truth to come out in relationships. Sun conjuncting Mercury in Taurus is really giving us that firm grasp on communication, on not shying away, on not backing down, on really making sure that we're speaking what we want to speak and we're speaking life into situations, right? For us, for others. It's helping to assure positive outcomes. On 5/5, it's a big day. If you've been following me for a while, you know every May 5th, 5/5, I do a 5x55 ritual. It's a manifestation ritual. I have a video all on that on my open classroom. If you're not a member, I'll put the link here for you. You can go check it out. It's only $5 a month. And there's a big reason around the number 5 and manifestation and money and abundance, because in numerology, that's really what it stands for. It's a big number to bring in those frequencies, those energies of manifesting, of calling in with intention what it is that you want in your life. And so using this day, the energy of this day, the power of numerology amplifies that intention. It's a very powerful day to perform this ritual, and I do it every single year. And I suggest that you also jump on this train and get your own 5x55. Also, on the 5th, on 5/5, the lunar nodes are changing the signs that they sit in. So this is a big deal, guys. They have been sitting in North Node in Cancer and South Node in Capricorn. And the North Node in astrology looks to the future and where we're going and what we're growing to. And the South Node looks to the past. You can even deduct a lot of past lives information from your South Node, like where you were previously, what you were meant to learn versus where you're going now in this lifetime. So they're leaving Cancer and Capricorn and they're moving to North Node Gemini and South Node Sagittarius. Well, let's talk about this because we're moving out of cardinal signs in the North and South nodes, which are what go-getters, starters, like get this ball rolling, get this train going. Also, Cancer and Capricorn are what? The mom and the dad of the zodiac. So we're moving away from balancing out those energies between the feminine and the masculine and our parentage of mother and father, right? Like nurture versus lessons. And we're moving into mutable nodes, guys. So Gemini is a mutable sign, Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so mutable nodes. So when we're looking at North Node in Gemini, we can now expect where we're headed, our lessons, what's coming for us, to be full of kind of the unknown and excitement, but also is asking you to be flexible. That's the main thing here, is now where we're headed, they're asking us on a collective level, collective lessons, to be flexible, to allow change and shifts to occur when they're being asked to. Don't be so rigid. Go with the flow. Also, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the communicator planet. So we can also see where we're headed collectively, lesson-wise, is new flexible ways of communicating. This makes sense, especially what's going on in the world and how we've had to completely shift everything in our life as we know it, especially how we communicate. How many people have been on Zoom parties? That has never been the way that it has been as it is now. It's never been that way. No one has ever like, oh, I'm gonna go home and have a Zoom party with my friend. Communication is shifting and we need to find flexible ways of doing that and being open to connecting to others in new ways, completely new ways than we've ever done before. The South Node in Sagittarius, speaking of where we've been, right? And Sagittarius is very philosophical. Sagittarius are already always asking like, where have we been? What does this mean? Where am I headed now? They're always digging a little deeper into the past, into knowing where we've been so we can know who we are, so we can know where we're going. And this is very much in alignment to what we're asking ourselves now, right? Like, how could we have done things differently? Have we been doing the best that we possibly can? The things that we have done, how are they affecting us now, right? So all of this energy is coming up, and that's these nodes are shifting to reflect the collective energy aligning in the same frequency. Also, Sagittarius speaks a lot of travel, right? Not just physical travel, but also travel spiritually, travel mentally, but travel nonetheless. And what's fucked up right now? Travel. Travel is so completely up in the air at this point. We don't even know if we're ever gonna get back to the way it was. Probably not. It's probably going to be different. And Sagittarius asks those questions of how could we make this different? What we've done in the past, how does it need to be adjusted in order to be mutable and move forward from here? Which leads us to May 7th when our full moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth, release and transformation. If there was ever a time to let things die and be reborn, to release and to transform, it is now. It is the time for that. This is the full moon where you really want to just let it all go for good. Anything that you've been carrying with you up until now has got to be dropped. Drop those bags. We're not taking them to the next stop. Nodes have shifted. We need to adjust what's in our suitcases and make sure that what we're carrying forth is really what's going to help us carry forth with the next versions of ourselves and collective humanity as a whole. Remember, this year, I'm gonna harp this on every ESR report. This year, it's gonna be the first of everything for 2020. And 2020 being a big ass year for us collectively, we need to mark these first and we need to make sure that we're treating them with the reverence they deserve. So this is the first full moon of truly releasing in the sign of release, okay? So really take this seriously. Write down everything that you're letting go of, everything. who you were. It doesn't matter. The world is different. You can now make yourself different. Clean slate, guys. Tabula rasa, okay? Time to wipe it off. Take a pen and paper, write down everything that you're leaving behind, everything that no longer fits into the new life, into the new mutable space that you're moving into, the flexible space you're going to, and burn it under the full moon. Let it go. Let the ashes go out into the ether and release and transform back to source so you don't have to carry that with you anymore. Allow yourself to be transformed. It's okay. I give you permission. You are being granted access to be a new version of you completely. On the 10th of May, the Sun in Taurus will sextile Neptune in Pisces. This is a cooperative transit, so that means that the Sun in Taurus, which is where it is right now, it's grounded, it's feeding back into the earth, and it's planting solid roots, right? Neptune in Pisces is where all the dreams are from. Everything that you are imagining for yourself, your fantasies, all of these big ideas, they're floating in the Neptune in Pisces space. So sextiling these two is really going to bring roots and grounding to your dreams, okay? This is the time. I told you, I believe last month, about planting seeds and watering them and making sure that we're tending to them because the growth cycle is happening, right? We talked about growing last month with the flower agates from seed to blossom. This is the time where they get to take root, guys. We planted them last month. Let them grow their roots. Let them become real. Let the life begin. Those ideas that you had a month ago up until now, start making them real. Start breathing life into them. This is what this energy is supporting. On May 11th, Mercury enters Gemini, which is so comfortable in this placement because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is communication, Gemini is intellect. So we're gonna have a lot of intelligent thoughts, a lot of intelligent conversations, and a lot of intelligent connections between one another. And again, I feel like this is also leading the way to those new ideas, new business ideas, new life ideas, new directions you're taking for them to really become solid, but also be rooted in logic and intelligence. Sharing these ideas, sharing your thoughts and your visions and your dreams with others who are going to be able to give you good feedback. This is such a good transit for where we're at, for what we're doing, for where we're headed. Also on the 11th, Saturn turns retrograde. We are officially entering retrograde season. We just had Pluto go retrograde last week. Now it's Saturn's turn to join the party. Saturn will be retrograde in Aquarius and then in Capricorn, and this will last until September 29th. So again, the whole summer is retrograde season, guys. Time for us to reflect and renew and refresh everything that is being asked of us, everything that's being presented to us. So with Saturn going retrograde, these are direct influences of life lessons and karma. Karmic relationships, karma we've created, karma that we're in, right? Lessons that we needed to be learning, that we haven't learned yet, that are yet to come. It's also all about responsibility. So where are we taking responsibility? Where haven't we taken responsibility? Where do we need to step up a little bit more? It's starting out in the sign of Aquarius, which means that it's asking us how we are collectively responsible. Hello? That's been a big mood. It's been escalating and crescendoing us up until this point of collectively, have we been taking responsibility for each other, for this planet, for our futures, for future generations, for ancestors? How have we been honoring and protecting, right? Past, present, and future. How have we been living in integrity with these actions of ours? That's really what we're taking a look at during the Saturn retrograde when it's in Aquarius. When it moves to Capricorn, whoo doggy. That's when our lessons are really gonna start to hit home. So we're gonna have this time of contemplation and reflection on collective levels, and then we're in Capricorn, it's going to ask, okay, now what can be done about it? What are you going to do? How are you going to take personal responsibility to step step up to the plate to shift things in the way that we're being asked to shift them in. On May 13th, Mars enters Pisces. This is not the strongest placement for Mars, but it does soften the edges quite a bit. Mars being the planet of action, yes, aggression, but not always in a bad way, right? You need to have a certain amount of go get it attitude, a certain amount of fortitude in order to make things happen, and that's what Mars is here to offer. When it's in Pisces, it's much more of a gentler, softer energy to that. So yes, we want to take action, but it's asking us more of action on our emotional side, on our spiritual connection, and on our dreams, right? We talked about what are we dreaming of? What are our big goals? The unattainable goals, the ones that seem unrealistic. That's where Pisces lives, right? Pisces doesn't live in realism. Pisces is all about the other and being outside of the box. There is no box. They're in the water, okay? And they're all about feeling and fueling the emotional side of our desires and our wishes. And Mars in Pisces is really lending itself to that energy in an actionable way, showing you that these things can be achieved. They can be brought to life. You can go and get them. So let that spark kind of light a fire under this energy and believe in your dreams. Believe in yourself. Believe in your feelings, your intuitiveness, and your emotions, and the power of all of that, and the strength that comes from it. Okay, on May 13th is when Venus finally enters retrograde in Gemini. So this is what we talked about at the beginning. What the shadow phase was teaching us is that our relationships are going to have some illuminations, are gonna have some realizations, right? On not only how we are in relationships, but how our relationships have affected us. And I'm talking past, present, for the future. Because when Venus goes retrograde, this is a time when you can really expect all the exes, romantic and otherwise, to come out of the woodwork for a revisit. Everyone wants to talk about Mercury retrogrades bringing back the exes, which it does in a way because they're trying to communicate, but Venus in retrograde is really gonna bring all the old flames. Again, romantic or otherwise. So it can be even friendships, it can be family members, it can be coworkers, it can be acquaintances, it can be anybody who you've had any kind of connection with, anything. Remember, every time we have a connection with someone, it's like a ripple effect or a butterfly effect. Even though we don't think it's a big deal, or it wasn't even like a blip on our radar as far as relationships go, that connection still had some kind of effect. It had some kind of message or lesson or energy it was bringing us and the other person, okay? We're all intertwined in this web of life. Nothing is separate. So even interactions that might not seem important might also be coming back around to take another look at. How did you react? Did you hold on to something? Were you triggered by something? Did you trigger someone else? We're being asked to take a look at our functions in relationships, how they function for us, how we function in them. And with it being in Gemini, the mutable sign, ruled by the communicator of Mercury, girls, we are really being asked to be open and flexible in how we're receiving this information. So I'm talking dreams. If you are not being contacted by ex relationships in real life, they're gonna show up in your dreams, okay? They're gonna find some way to communicate with you any way, any which how. Could be through third party even, could be just a vision, a blip in the head, could be a smell that you get and you're like, ooh, so-and-so used to smell like that. Or when I walked in so-and-so's kitchen, it smelled like this. Things will take you back. Be flexible and be open to seeing how they're going to appear in your life because they're coming in. And then Spirit wants you to sit with it and ask yourself questions. Am I triggered by this? Why am I triggered by this? What is triggering this? Where does this trigger originate from? Is it from that relationship? Is it from something I learned in a previous relationship? Is it from something I've learned from my parents? in the relationship with my parents, go dig deep. That's what retrogrades are for. We're supposed to be digging deep, unearthing all the bullshit, taking a look at it so we can then let it go and release it, and we don't have to carry it with us. Remember I said dropping the baggage? We're emptying the suitcase. This is part of it. This is part of the emptying the suitcase process, and this is everything to do with relationships. On the heels of Venus retrograde comes Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn on May 14th, so the day after. I'm telling you, retrograde season's here. Everyone's spinning backwards, and we are all gonna be spinning from it, but that's the point. This retrograde will last until September 13th, and Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn is asking us to really take a look at and reflect upon expanding, growing, evolving, ascending, philosophizing responsibly. How are we doing this in a responsible way that not only for us, but for the collective, for all of it. Jupiter is an expansive planet. It is the planet of expansion. It's also the planet of love. And it's the planet of growth, inner growth for outer growth. So it retrograding in the sign of Capricorn is asking, how have you been taking responsibility? How have you been taking charge of this? How have you been at the helm of this ship, captaining it in the right way so that we don't run aground or we don't run into an iceberg? Are your ideals responsible? Are they collectively responsible? So all these things that you've been wanting to do, that you've been wanting to grow and expand on, take a look at how it's affecting everything else. We can't just think about what we want anymore. We've seen more so than ever that our actions, everything that we do, say, think, and breathe affects everything else in this web of life. Everything. And so the retrograde's really asking, go ahead and expand, grow, be bigger, pull in your blessings, but do it in a way that makes sense for everyone. That's also going to benefit the whole. Or how are you going to take this expansiveness, this abundance, and benefit others? How is it going to benefit you, and how is it going to then benefit others? Ask yourself these questions and make adjustments accordingly. If you have a business, maybe it's being more earth-friendly. If you're a teacher, maybe it's being more inclusive in what you're teaching. Maybe it's broadening how you're teaching things. Think of it in ways that you haven't thought of it before. How can you take responsibility for what it is that you're trying to grow and expand on? On May 20th, the sun finally hits Gemini. It's time to let loose and have a little fun. Gemini is always down for a good time. They could change their mind at any minute, but they're always down for a good time at least. Seriously, Gemini is the time frame where you can change your mind. It supports you in making last minute decisions or flipping a U-ey on the highway of life, doing a 180. You're allowed to, guys. When you learn something new, when you know better, you do better, right? You're allowed to change. You're allowed to shift. You're allowed to morph. And that's what Sun in Gemini this entire season is really letting you do. Shift. Color your hair 5 different ways from here until Sunday. Plan a move to 3 different countries in this season. Allow yourself to really play with it. Play with all the options that are presented in front of you until you find one that you like. You don't have to make a decision right away. You don't have to be firm on anything. Gemini season is firm on nothing other than being open. On the 22nd of May, we have the new moon in Gemini. Set your new moon intentions. Every new moon, be ritualistic with it. Don't ever miss a new moon, an opportunity to manifest some shit for yourself. Finally, on May 28th, Mercury enters Cancer. So communications are getting the mother's touch. There's a lot more concern and compassion and empathy and caring and nurture that's going to be added, sprinkled onto our connections and our conversations. Remember guys, retrograde season brings opportunities for growth and expansion. Planting these solid roots in Taurus season allows for flexibility in Gemini season. We need to be sure and be firm of who we are as a person, as a soul. Who are we now? Remember, we're allowed to shift, but also be very firm in that, so that when the universe presents us with doors 1 through 8, we can choose any one of them and be on a blessed path. because of how firm we are in ourselves. Okay, it's time for the crystal of the month, the first of our support tools for May 2020. And this month, it's all about the phantoms. We are going to be working with phantom crystals all month long. Do you see those wisps? See the phantoms inside the crystal? Look like little crystal peaks and formations that are inside the crystal. They're very faint. Those are called phantoms or ghosts. Here's another one for you, a smoky amethyst phantom. Do you see the purple line inside the crystal right in here? Right there? That is an amethyst phantom inside of a smoky quartz. So phantom crystals are all about growth. Phantoms will show you where a crystal is growing on the inside, inner growth, right? It has these little, looks like breaks, it's like shadows of the peak that are just coming up inside the crystal. And that's exactly what they denote for us in our lives. Our times of growing, of having these inner growths. If we were a crystal, we would see phantoms all up in us all the time. We would see these markings, kind of like tree rings, right? To see where the growth occurred. It's the same in a crystal and it's the same in us. We have those phantom peaks. So working with phantom crystals is all about us working with our own growth energy, our own times of expansion and growth and ascending and evolving, right? It's also the perfect crystal to work with for Venus retrograde because Venus retrograde brings all the ghosts of relationships past out, and phantoms, also known as ghost crystals, can bring the ghost of ourselves back into the forefront to take a look at, to observe, to learn from, and to grow through. It helps us to heal our past selves, our past relationships. Again, another great crystal to work with during the retrograde season because healing occurs through growth. Right? It doesn't just happen without growing. You cannot grow without the healing. It's a part of the process. It's the process. And phantom crystals allow us to bring in an honoring of that healing process, honoring all of our phases, showing us that it's beautiful, that the growth patterns within us are beautiful. They're mesmerizing, they're intriguing, they're interesting, right? They're nothing to hide. We're not gonna hide the phantom growth that's in us. We're gonna let that shine out and show the beauty of it, show how we've grown. What an amazing, enlightening process it has been. Phantom crystals also help you to bring up repressed memories, repressed events that might have happened, to bring them to the surface, to transform them, to release them completely. It's also an Akashic Records connecting crystal because it's the growth, right? And everything that we've done, have done, and will do is in the Akashic Records. So all of our growth, all of our phases and stages and ages are in there as they are within us, as they are within a phantom crystal. Phantom crystals come in all different types of colors. They can also have inclusion. So this is a smoky amethyst phantom crystal. The colors will also correlate to the chakra. So if you want to work with a specific chakra in this healing process, choose a phantom crystal that correlates with that. So amethyst will correlate to the third eye, healing of the energies behind it, the visions, being able to unblock that, being able to bring out the repressed memories. There's also green chlorite phantoms. These are for the heart chakra as well as earth healing. You can have red phantoms, which are beautiful, and those really speak to the root and the sacral chakras, so healing those. Black chlorite phantoms are my favorite for shadow work. If you're really looking to integrate and heal the shadow, these are my favorite ones to work with. You can also have the white phantoms for crown chakra and above, for the higher chakras, for the higher levels, the higher frequencies, and smoky phantoms for transmutation, transmuting all of it. It does it on its own, but the smoky really takes it in such a gentle way and such a powerful and effective way that it almost doubles down on that healing process itself. Okay, oil of the month. This month we're not using a singular oil, we're going to be using a blend, and I chose this blend because of all the singular oils that are in it and all of their properties that lend to this big picture frequency that I want us to be connected to throughout the month of May. So this month we're gonna be using Breathe Oil. And it's kind of funny, but it's kind of not because of what's going on with the pandemic and breathing being very essential and being a function that seems to be affected heavily through this current virus that we're going through. So breathe oil is a very important oil, not only in physical application, but also in the mental capacity of breathe. Bring that breath in, fill up your chest and breathe and release. That's what we want to do with this oil, and this is how it's going to help us. There are 7 different oils that go into making up this blend, each of them assisting and lending to the amazing properties of this one singular oil that we can use in one application. There's Ravensara, which is a heart chakra opening oil. We always can use heart chakra opening tools and frequencies and vibrations. There's never a bad time for that. It also has eucalyptus, which brings in mental clarity, clear mind, clear thoughts, really clearing out the fog, clearing out the cobwebs, being able to have the capacity to bring in clear sight, insight, having those downloads come in, which we're also going to be seeing a lot of this month. Peppermint is in here, which not only aids in spiritual protection, but also stimulates the conscious thought. So again, the eucalyptus clears everything out and the peppermint will stimulate that, bringing in the energy and the frequency to receive the downloads and the messages that we've made the space for. Melaleuca is strengthening. It's an oil that relates to the heart as well as to earth, to the root. So really bringing up that strong line of grounding and release. Lemon is energizing and purifying. It's cleansing, it's uplifting. It's an all-around powerhouse of an oil. Cardamom is a releasing oil, and it also brings inner spiritual calm, inner spiritual sense. And laurel leaf brings inner healing, inner wisdom, and courage to us. So all in one blend, you've got all these amazing oils working for you in one nice little application. So this month, breathe oil, not only important for our immune system in accordance to what's going on in the world today, but also powerful for what everything is offering. Guys, this smells so good. It smells so good. If you do not have this oil blend, please go out and get it. It's so effective for when you're not feeling well, for when you are battling an illness, but it's also so good for all the things I just mentioned that don't have anything to do with physical illness, but have everything to do with strengthening, clearing, releasing, receiving, healing the whole self, the whole vibrational being. This month, the best use is going to be to put it a little on your chest, right over the lungs, right? Want to get that in there? This is also gonna be one of those good oils to put right underneath here. Really opening, it's like a Vicks Vapor Rub, but so much better. Really opening up the olfactory senses, really getting that cleared out and bringing all those amazing vibrations in. And the other way that I highly suggest using this is either put a couple drops in your bath, take ritual baths. The new moon and the full moon this month would be excellent times to take ritual baths with the breathe oil. Also, if you want to take a nice foot bath, and it doesn't have to be one of those fancy vibrating ones that plugs in, you can just have a bowl with some warm water, some Epsom salt, and put some breathe oil into your foot bath. Oh my God, so relaxing. And the bottom of the feet really is the best place to put oils because it absorbs it right into your bloodstream and gets it everywhere. So having this in a foot bath would be very effective, very recommended. Okay, it's time for our message of the month, and we are using our Soul Journey deck by Nancy Hess at SF Spirit House. She's amazing. Please give her a follow. Please book her for some sessions, buy some products. Highly recommend Nancy. She's the best of the best of the best. So we're just gonna give our cards a quick shuffle. It's a very large deck. Very large deck. So it's very hard for me to shuffle in my two little hands. I will say that every month, just so you know, if you're keeping track, I'm going to make mention of my little hands every time I shuffle this deck. Get used to it. Okay. Get those together. Pick a card. Whoo! This deck is not playing today. It is not playing. Okay guys, it's a quote. And it's by Pema Chodron. And it says, "Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know." Hello? Hello? Are we heading into retrograde season? Are we not gonna have 4 freaking planets in retrograde by the end of May? This is your message for May? Nothing ever really goes away until it has taught us what we need to know? Guys, this is the real shit. This is it. This is exactly what we're talking about. And with the phantom quartzes as our tool, working through that with the breathe, releasing, and clearing, these tools are bar none amazingly in sync. They're so aligned, it's not even funny. This is your message. Write it down, recite it, write it on lipstick, on your mirror, stamp it on your forehead, put it on a post-it in your wallet. I don't care what you have to do. Look at this every day and remind yourself that as we move through retrograde season, as you work with your phantom quartzes, as you work with your breathe oil, all of these together are really gonna help you to release, to learn what you needed to learn, to transform and transmute. Whew, so good. Okay, mantras of the month. I have 4 for you this month. Probably should have done 5 with the 5, but 4 is what came to me, so 4 is where we're going to be. Remember to grab your mala or your rosary, whatever tool that you want to use to help you recite your mantras. I'm wearing another beautiful mala made by Mala Malama Love, Christine Gal. I'll leave her information right here for you as always. She makes the most gorgeous tools. This one happens to have a Tibetan quartz in it, which is my favorite type of quartz. And I will be using this one today to go over the mantras as we recite them. You're going to recite 1 mantra per mala all the way around until you've finished the circumference of the entire mala/rosary. So the 4 mantras we have are, I am defined by who I am today. Do you hear that? I am defined by who I am today. Not who I was, not who I envisioned myself to be. I am defined by me right now. Sit with that one for a while. The past has no power over me. How many times do we give the past so much power over us, over our choices, over our decisions, over our life, over everything? Repeat after me. The past has no power over me. And I may have taken that from Labyrinth, but it is one of the best movies of all time, and it really is relevant. The past has no power over me. My growth is one of the most beautiful things about me. Remember when we talked about the phantom quartzes and how beautiful those growth patterns are? That's you, that's me, that's you, that's us. Our growth is beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's illuminating. My growth is one of the most beautiful things about me. Own it. Speak it into existence. Speak life into that. I ascend, evolve, and expand beyond all limitations. I ascend, evolve, and expand beyond all limitations. Guys, there is nothing standing in your way but you. You are the only roadblock. So remove yourself from your path so that you can go on your path. You know that makes sense. You know what I'm saying. Please work with these phantom quartz babies all month long. Work with them. These are going to be your BFFs throughout the month as we enter into retrograde season and are being asked to drudge up the past, to take a look at us from before so that we can reflect on it, see how far we've come, see how beautiful it all has been, the entire journey, and that we can release and move forward with ease. It's a big month for growth. It's a big month for really digging in those roots to be able to choose where we're going next. It does make sense if you think about it. Like that saying, be firm on your goals, but flexible on how you achieve them. That's what Taurus to Gemini transition is. Be firm on your goals, but then be flexible on how you're going to get there and how you're going to bring them in. Okay guys, thanks so much for hanging out another month. We will be back here for another ESR for June, which I'm sure will be right around the corner. The way time has been going lately, we'll probably blink and it will be already beginning of June. So please use the time this month wisely. Start working through the shit that's going to be coming up because there is no time like now. Bye.